Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another What Else Is Going On, aka We Go podcast episode. If you watched my YouTube video, this will come out Friday. So if you watched my YouTube video on Tuesday, where we talked about Dorinda and Bianca Sensory and that raggedy RFK Jr., we talked about all those things. You know that I said I was having two special guests on the podcast this week. They are here. First up, y'all. We are Black and beautiful and melanated. So we reading credits. First up, we have Mr. Carlos J. Harris. He has been on the podcast before. Y'all know that is my boo. He is a writer, and I'm reading credits at Swerve Magazine. He did a wonderful piece on Preston Mitchum. Y'all know who Preston is. He Triangle web series, Davenport Diaries on YouTube, Dark Horse on Tubi, and so much more. I also call him my producer because he always looks out for me and my channel. And then we have Miss Taylor Crumpton, my new boo, y'all, because once I call you boo, you are now my boo. She's a writer. Times knows her. Autostraddle knows her. Essence, NPR, The A1 Show, Texas Stanford, CNN, Stream on Max. She most recently wrote an article about Beyonce and the Grammys. Y'all, I need y'all to welcome this beautiful, I can't even say Black joy to the podcast. So for those of y'all that are listening, y'all will hear them. For those of y'all that are just listening, hop on over to YouTube, We Go Podcast, so y'all can see these beautiful faces. How are y'all doing today?
It is a beautiful day, baby. Okay. I have no complaints.
Carlos.
I'm well. I'm excited to be here with you and Taylor. So this is Taylor's first of many appearances on your podcast. So I'm just happy to be here to witness this monumentous occasion.
Let me tell you, y'all, Carlos put us together, and just to give a quick backstory. So I don't know how other podcasters do it, but y'all know I've been podcasting for years, even before this. So if I see someone on Instagram or whatever that I'm like, oh, they are so interesting, I'll screenshot it, and then it lives in my phone and in my mind. Carlos knows as a friend, I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna get back to it. I came across Taylor on IG, and I know it was from some of her articles, screenshot it, kept it in my phone. She gonna be on the podcast. Lo and behold, Carlos texts me, hey, I think you should talk to Taylor Crumpton. I'm like, no, she's in my phone. Like, I know I have her in my phone. So this was meant to be. So y'all, with all the things going on in this old crazy world, we are here to talk about some housewives from the Black people's perspective. So I got to jump right in, because I told these good people I would not have them here too long, because y'all know people that I like and love to talk to, which is pretty much everybody that comes on. I could keep y'all all day. I need to go right into Beverly Hills, and I got to jump all the way forward. I wanted my girl Garcelle to pack her bags and come up out of Augusta, because I was nervous. Was it just me? Not just me? Okay. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. I was nervous. I said, do we have a get out situation? I was nervous.
What do you think, Taylor?
As someone who is from the South, a lot of people say Texas is in the South. Fight your mom. Beyonce from the South, Megan from the South, Southern. I am a fan of Garcelle's relationship with Sutton. I think, like most people, I didn't understand it at first, but I think over time I have seen them generally show up for one another, whether that's on the show or off the show. Mm-hmm. I do believe they are genuine friends. However, just because the fruit is sweet doesn't mean the bark is.
Come on. Oh, say that again. Girl, she did the offering place. Say it, Taylor, say that one more time, please.
Just because the fruit is sweet does not mean the bark is. So though I believe that Garcelle has found a great companionship in Sutton, that doesn't always translate to the mama. And I saw a tweet on X today. I do not know who tweeted it, X'd it, whatever the new term is, but someone said, I know Son's mom is afraid to have a Black woman and a lesbian in the household. And I just want us to hold that for a moment. I just want us to hold it. There are some Southerners, and based on what age I believe Sutton's mom to be, we can kind of infer how she operates. If you're a person from the South who happens to be white and a part of the leisure class, we can kind of assume where that money, that wealth, that riches came from.
Come on.
So I am not surprised at Garcelle's treatment. However, I do believe Sutton should have been a good friend in terms of preparing her family members for Garcelle coming. I do not believe it's the responsibility of Garcelle to have to censor herself or monitor herself or act out of a place of concern for her safety or concern if I say something that may impact my relationship with Sutton. So I think oftentimes, and I see this like across housewives, the white housewife will almost be colorblind in the sense of like, I'm just bringing my girlfriend home.
Come on.
Compared to what I saw on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and I actually messaged Angie on Instagram about this, on how good she is an advocate and an ally for Mary. Because oftentimes we see Black housewives, especially, and sometimes all skin folk ain't kinfolk. We've seen this on Potomac and Atlanta, so I don't want to just put it in Beverly Hills, are kind of left on an island by themselves, and that's what really irritated me about this week's episode.
And I like how you said Sutton should have done a better job preparing, because there's two things happening. It's like one of y'all bringing me home to meet your family. We're not dating, but I'm your friend. So we're not dating. So it's not like your parents are trying to marry y'all off. So they're going to maybe be on their best behavior. You're bringing home a friend and you're already contentious with them. So you're bringing your Black friend home to a mother that you're already in contention with, that you already shrink in front of, which leaves Garcelle on her own, which is how she was in the beginning of her journey in Beverly Hills.
Exactly. And I watched the scenes with the interaction between Garcelle and Sutton's mom. I was like cringing, had one eye open when Garcelle gave her that gift, and she was like, well, what is this? And she kind of like halfway opened it and looked at it. Oh, a scarf. The mom was giving me not segregation teas, but she was giving me very Reconstruction tea. Like, what is this Black woman? Yeah, I mean, honestly, she was giving me that. I appreciate, even the scene later in the episode, I appreciate Garcelle for moving story along. She's like, I have to do this tough scene with her mom. Her mom's, I can tell she's very cold. She's not easy to communicate with. Let me go ahead and get the ball rolling. Let me just tell her Sutton from a friend's perspective how Sutton feels as her daughter. And the mom just kind of looked at her. It's as if to say, shouldn't you be in the kitchen? I'm like, very like, in the kitchen, like
all of that, and how welcoming she was to Kyle. And that was her first time meeting Kyle. Even if you take out the compliment.
Yeah, so I applaud Garcelle on, I know it wasn't easy. I know it wasn't easy, but she's like, I'm here, we gotta do a job. Let me go ahead and do it. So yeah, I definitely that was very hard to watch, because you could almost see Sutton's mom thought process as she was looking at Garcelle. And I'm not, granted, yes, her mom has been on the show once or twice, but we know as Black people, especially if you as a certain type of Black person, shade, gender, that a lot of what show up in different spaces, a lot of thoughts are going to be, not said, not spoken, but you can read read the room.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because there are other non-melanated people that don't get it, right? And I don't expect you to, because that's not how you have to operate through life. But it's just sort of like, let's go back to season 3 of Salt Lake City, how we picked up on She Who Shall Not Be Named, that cast member that was racist with Mary. We through the screen, and I always use that as an example, because that's the most visible example we have pretty much on these franchises. So many of me and my Black content creators and even Black friends, we picked up on it, and we talk about it together, because it's not something that you can describe to someone who's never experienced it. you know. So I'm so glad that we're talking about this, and you said we as Black people, because that scene, my butt cheeks were clenched so tight, and I was nervous because I thought the mama was gonna say something. I'm not even gonna lie, I thought she was gonna say something out of pocket. I think Sutton probably was afraid too.
Were you nervous, Taylor, for her mom, like saying something ignorant?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about white Southern femininity. They know how to perform.
Yeah, that's
I
very
think
true.
Ben's mom is aware that
Mm.
this platform has given her daughter access and opportunity and resources. Just the way a white Southern pageant queen will tease her daughter's hair through tears to get her on stage and
Mm.
perform the Star Spangled Banner, I think that was the thing preventing her from saying it. Now, if we saw that scene cameras down and this wasn't going to impact or impede her daughter's bottom line, but also social standing in a multiracial cultural society, I
Mm.
think she would have said something. But she does have enough sense to be like, there is a limit because there are multiple producers with cameras in my house, and I cannot be that comfortable. Now you get her maybe when the sun is down and she's had a little bit of rosé and some whiskey. That's a conversation or a scene that we do not want to see.
Yeah.
Wait, not when the sun is down. That's appropriate
Yeah.
choice of wording.
Hey Taylor, we both watched Southern Charm. So like on a scale of
Oh
Sutton's
yes, y'all
mom,
do.
Patricia's, she seems
Yes.
more progressive in thought. So I
Ah,
don't get that from like a Patricia at all, because she seemed to be like the same age range, you know?
That's a good comparison.
I think we forget where Patricia came from. That woman has a New York Times feature and profile, was sitting at the couture shows before social media. I mean, was truly a member of New York society and elite, and also has standing, good relationships with like European aristocracy. So she knows how
Yeah.
to move. Miss Patricia has been forming the entirety of her life, whether that performance is progressive to cameras, whether that
Mm.
performance is shady and welcoming to cameras. I think she's doing a phenomenal job of being a matriarch in a Southern show because that is her character and that is her performance. And that is what also
Right.
brought her, you know, social standing. Sudden Mom has nothing to gain from this,
Yeah.
but
That's
I think she limited herself because of her daughter or Matricia. She only has stuff to gain, right? No one is looking into really, her political understandings, her political donations, because everybody just wants to have a martini with her.
mm.
Me too. Even though I don't drink, I'll
Yes,
have a glass of water
that
with
that's a good
her.
that's a really good point. And like she's been
Mhm.
performing her whole life pretty much, like you said, so that's true. Now, in terms of the episode itself, I liked how the group was, you know, separate a little bit, but I did think I was trying to figure out Sutton's play in inviting Garcelle and Kyle. Because Erica did make a good point. Even though her and Erica are push and pull, Erica probably would have fit right in with that. She would have known the Southern way with Sutton's
Mhm.
mom. So, what did y'all think about Sutton intentionally inviting Kyle and Garcelle?
Well, I saw that as Sutton just inviting top of the call sheet. She knows
Okay, okay.
she knows, Garcelle and Kyle, they're the pony of the show. Of
Mhm.
course, outside of her relationship with Garcelle, I think she does respect Kyle. I think they do have a French frenemy-ship,
Yeah,
you know. I
yeah.
do think that with Erica, they aren't friends.
No.
I get them trying to have a camaraderie for the show, but they aren't friends. And Erica's never struck me as a person who wants to revisit her past. Like I
Mm,
think people realized that she was from the South when Sutton came up. You know,
Mhm.
like
okay.
you sit in your Southern and all. That's my favorite season when when Big Global was guns a blazing, and we all were amateur detectives and forensic. That's why. But yeah, I was happy with who Sutton brought down
Okay.
to the.
Mhm.
And you too, Taylor.
I feel very similar. She knows the power of Kyle Richards' name, right? She knows,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm not going to bow to the altar of Kyle Richards. She's been around Kathy. I would say Sutton had to have watched the show before she came on because
Yes.
according to Sarita, she had been trying for years to come on, right? We are entering the era of fans becoming housewives,
Mm.
whether good, bad, reality volunteers. So her bringing her to Augusta guaranteed we're gonna talk about this at the reunion, okay? I'm gonna get a good confessional, and in the event I do want to bridge this relationship with Kyle one day, I can say in, a lunch, a dinner, a happy hour, well, I took you down south to meet my mother. It's also ammunition.
Yes, that is good. And what something she said, Kyle Richards' name, I thought she knew that scene, those scenes aren't going to get cut because they have Kyle in there. I thought about that.
And Taylor, you just brought up a good point. I noticed in Sutton's friendships that she adds everything. Well, she takes stock in everything she does for people, so
Yes.
she throws it right back. And Erica was so good not to take that money from her. Remember that
Ooh.
she's like, if you ever need to, like, I'm good. Because I think Erica knew, like, Huzzy, you will throw this in my face every chance you get. And I
Yeah.
think it's almost like you can seeing Sutton's mom and hearing how Sutton describes her ex-husband Christian. It's almost like a push and pull, almost like a power. There's like a power dynamic. And I think Sutton's finally at this place in her life where she has access and all this money, and I don't know if she's conscious of it, but she subconsciously is using it as like a bargaining chip in her friendships with the women within this circle, you know? I
Hmm.
don't know if she does it in her personal life because Jennifer Tilly has boatloads of money,
Right.
and I'm quite sure she doesn't do it with Garcelle because Garcelle doesn't. Garcelle is a self-made woman.
Yeah.
Granted she doesn't have much money as Sutton does, but she's very comfortable and she's very successful. In
Yeah.
this town, you're either wealthy by money or wealthy by industry status.
That's true. Two types of currency.
Yeah.
Now, so Taylor, I will confess while you're here, not that I haven't confessed it 1,000 times. Carlos knows this. Sutton is not my cup of tea. I call her the Southern Belle full of Southern comfort, the alcohol. However, when I could empathize with what she probably felt going through with her mom. I also I looked
Mhm.
at what we've seen of Sutton's relationship with her children. And when she talks about her children, how proud she is. So I said, Sutton is very different from her mother when it comes to their parenting, it seems. However, where the apple doesn't fall far is when you watch Sutton interact with those ladies and then you see her mom. And it's like,
Mhm.
you can see it's almost like she doesn't realize that she can be the very thing that she pushes against in her relationship with these women. So I was like, it's very interesting. That's why I love Housewives because it's such a study in human psychology, and things. And I am thankful that Sutton is sharing that, she's not afraid to share because we know her mama don't want to be on camera talking about with Sutton telling her how she just feels like she doesn't support her. That's not the Southern way. So I appreciate Sutton. That in itself is a form of rebellion a little bit with her coming down here. So I enjoyed it. What I'm also loving, and I want y'all, let me ask this question. How do y'all feel about the Bose and the Dorit of it all? Because I see so much conversation on social media. People don't like it. Oh, it's fake. And it reminds me of Sutton and Garcelle in the beginning, where I feel like theirs did start out as an alliance. They were the two new ones. However, they developed a real friendship. So how do y'all feel just about Sutton and Dorit in general?
You mean
I'm
Bose and
sorry, Bose
Dorit?
and Dorit, not Todd. We know where Sutton and Dorit are. Lord Jesus. Yes, we know where they are. Bose and Dorit.
First of all, I think Bose is a lovely addition to Housewives. Whoever casted her needs a bonus, needs a raise, needs a check. Because I think for so long, we have been missing that in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Like someone who is wealthy and successful by both of the two currencies that y'all named. So I think she is giving us such a welcome reprieve of what I call Black Hollywood. She does go to Essence Black Women in Hollywood. Cynthia Erivo described Bose as a friend in a red carpet recently. She's a mover and shaker in Beverly Hills and LA in that industry. Now, all that to be said, I have reservations about Dorit.
Okay.
My number one reservation is political in nature. And then my second reservation is the ways in which he's treated Garcelle throughout the entirety of Garcelle's tenure on the show. That being said, I do believe that Dorit needed a friend. Because Kyle would use her, abuse her like a $2 check. I mean, woman, I love you, woman, I hate you, woman, I love you, woman, I hate you. Erica never truly enjoyed Dorit.
No.
I do believe she was an island by herself. She was the most talked about member of the Fox 5. I mean, truly, there were some seasons I'm like, girl, are you a masochist? Because you just enjoy pain. Okay? So I think storyline, it's great that she has a bestie. The bestie may be a shield for some previous behavior from Garcelle. You know, I think there are a lot of assets about this friendship that, you know, help her look good to Bravo fans, but also she got a feature in British Vogue. I would be curious to see after the reunion and when they film again in Bo's notoriety and popularity, if that's going to impact this sisterhood. Because all of y'all know, the minute one person becomes the fan favorite or gets more press or more media attention, or God forbid she get a spinoff or something else, is that sisterhood still going to exist and thrive? Because right now, this is Dorit's season, which means it won't be her season next season.
Right. And she'll be in the background.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, well, we did see that. Did you see that she was invited to Bose's friendship dinner in New York? And it was like all Black folks. So I said, not that it's Bose's job, but maybe Dorit will learn from this.
How much longer do we as Black people have to yet again educate non-Black people, particularly white women, about misogyny and misogynoir? You know, I do appreciate Bose for doing the work and the added labor that's very taxing that only Black housewives are asked to do across the franchises. Each and every single one of them, she is doing work that is not asked of any other housewife. But also the type of woman Bose is, I do think she's going to hit a threshold and a limit. And if Dorit decides to revert to who she was once before, I see that friendship and that sisterhood ending.
Yes.
I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful of the friendship. Back to the whole currency in this town of LA. When their initial meeting and, you know, Dorit said, well, what do you do? She's like, well, I'm retired. I retired from XYZ. Dorit said, oh. So I think in her head, she's like, oh, okay, this is a new woman, you know, non-white, and she's uber successful outside of all of this, you know? So I think that was a bonus. And then they got along and she found that Bose enjoyed listening to her because this is all still new to Bose. So I'm just hopeful. When she arrived at Watch What Happens Live, I was super surprised. I said, because the way inflation is, no one's going to just hop on a plane and get a hotel for a friendship on a show, you know? But I do, with that being said, I do enjoy Bose on Beverly Hills. I think when the first scene in her home, I mean, taste, layout, and not only does she have great taste, the fashions, her last night sitting at Kathy's dinner table.
Yes.
Bose, beautiful woman.
Gorgeous.
That orange was a caftan with it's such a head. That lady is drop dead gorgeous. It's like she came, and that's what, to Taylor's point, Beverly Hills needed someone who was already made. And I think that's why they'll work so well because they're not playing to the cast. Like I'm already successful. I'm not singing for my supper behind Cal Richards, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm just happy that she's here. I do see a longevity for her. Not I don't know how many years, but I do think that she ushered in a new dynamic. So all of the weight is not just sitting on Garcelle's shoulders to educate or to be that emotional support system, which is a lot, you know.
And in a recent interview, oh, I wish I had it pulled up. I'm paraphrasing her words, but basically they were asking her about, the whole thing, her calling Kyle out or whatever. And she said she's coming in, she's observing, but who knows if she's the new lady in waiting, pretty much. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
And she also made a great point. I actually watched the Breakfast Club interview. I do not like the show, but I saw that she was on it. Let me watch it because I support her. And someone asked her a question. Oh, I think Buzz, she commented on people saying like, oh, now she's here, Garcelle's out. And she's like, well, why can't when the white girls leave? She's like, no one, I had never heard someone phrase it that bluntly. And I was like, yes.
I'm here for this.
Why
I'm
not?
here. Work.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, because I'm seeing way too many non-melanated again, i.e. non-black folk people, the discourse online. And I had posted a picture of Bose and Garcelle and the way they were looking at each other. And I said, I absolutely, when they were at the Kyle's, Denim and Diamonds party, and they were kind of going back and forth, like laughing, in the way that we do.
No, it's that look.
Yes. And there were so many white women. Are you kidding? Garcelle is jealous of Bose. And I said, well, what we're not doing is that we're not doing that here, not here. And again, I shouldn't expect you to recognize it because you don't get it. So I love, like when she came in and brought food for them and the way that they kind of curled up on Bose's couch and was like, girl, I got my life, because we've never seen that in Beverly Hills. When Bose had her party and all the beautiful black folks she had there, it was like Beverly Hills is like, we ain't seen as many black folks on Beverly Hills.
Bose said black only.
And I love that she talks about it. And I also love that she will check Sutton, because one thing that some of these women do that don't look like us that aggravate me is if we're in a conversation, Sutton can say whatever she wants to people. She said it. Oh, things slip out of my mouth. Right. But when in turn it's done to her, it's that Southern, that is so unkind. That is so not nice. Everything's an offense. So when she tried that with Bose, with the word weaponized, Bose was like, but that's what you did. And she wasn't backing up from that. When they tried the word thing with Crystal didn't back up either, but Bose has a little bit of a different energy. Like, next question.
Bose comes with accomplishments, so they can't sun her.
Yeah, yes. And she doesn't need the show, so she's not performing to keep her check.
There you go.
Yeah, I love that. I do like the trio of Bose, Erica, and Dorit for the show's sake. I really do like that trio. I feel like Erica has an affinity, and I've always felt like she had an affinity for black women. I mean just like friendships, because when Garcelle was on The Real and Garcelle came out and said they were all at, I believe it was Adrienne Bailon's party, or was it Garcelle's birthday party? And Erica had been drinking and told her, this was in the height of her going through everything with Tom Girardi, and says, the only ones the women that support me are, and pointed to.
Yeah, that was Garcelle's party. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. So what do y'all think overall about this season of Beverly Hills? I know people were all loving Salt Lake. I'm enjoying Beverly Hills. It's not giving me Salt Lake, but it's not supposed to. I feel like it's different.
I think they're trying to find their rhythm again. I don't know exactly how you want to classify this current iteration of Roni. But I do think the shakeup rippled throughout franchises, that if you've been there for a couple of seasons and you haven't been working, that just like, to bring this to sports, and I hate to do this to y'all, but I am from Dallas, just like out of nowhere, the Mavs traded Luka for Anthony Davis and the Lakers, something that is still impacting me emotionally, physically, not financially, even though I almost got some Southern comfort to deal with it. However, back to the housewives at hand, it showed
Wait,
up.
Taylor, you using that? It's funny. Did you see the tweet that this guy tweeted and said, somebody was like, a girl was like, can somebody explain the trade to me, what you just talked about? And he said, it's like Atlanta traded Robin from Potomac and sent Nene to Potomac. Like, that's how bad it is. People were
And in
saying,
Black music terms, it's like we traded Beyonce for Chili. Okay, it is
oh no.
catastrophic. I have been crying for days. Okay, I'm sorry to bring that here, but to bring it back, Erica is a smart woman.
Mm-hmm.
She got that spinoff. She did her residency in Las Vegas, and she understands I still need to make this money. So, to quote Jocelyn Hernandez, I'm getting with the winning team, ho. Okay, whatever team seems to be up right now, guess what? Give me my pom poms. I'm on the squad. I'm doing a split. That woman has existed for so long on Beverly Hills because she is mutable and adaptable and flexible. We all know she's still friends with Lisa Rinna, but we don't hear a lick about that friendship on the show. On the show, Lisa Rinna who, and they could be eating hamburger helper goulash, whatever the hell, Nobu, at her house that really isn't that small, to be quite honest. Like, I don't know why she keeps on saying she has a small house. Girl, give me the house.
Oh,
I'll
that
be in there.
house.
My books and I.
Mm-mm.
So I think overall, Salt Lake's having a phenomenal season. But Beverly Hills, I wouldn't be surprised with Bose's performance that after the contracts come out, they're like, do you have any friends that want to come on?
Mm.
And I think that is quite scary to Kyle, which is why Kyle in some press has been like, yeah, she's a great addition, but I just don't understand because Kyle does know the OGs of all these franchises are starting to get that check because they're too expensive to keep on. And if I want to revamp and revitalize a series, some of y'all old head has to go. So you either work, or if you have a newbie and she's really great, then I'm bringing her in. Remember Garcelle? She had a great season. They brought in Will Smith's first wife, and baby, I've never been so dissatisfied in my entire life.
I thought we were going to get her from remember the show she was on, because I watched it with Andrea Kelly, and I thought that's who we were
First wives, ex-wives,
Atlanta
some wives.
Exes or something like that. It was Atlanta Exes?
I thought it was like a Hollywood one. On like VH1, it was like
Yeah, you're right. It was Hollywood Wives or
There you
something.
go.
Yeah, or something
Yeah.
like that. Either I thought that's who we were going to get, 'cause she was with Prince's ex-wife. So it's like, who is this lady
She
that
was
we're
watching the
seeing
show. She was just watching the show. And listening to
in
the
real
show.
time?
They had the camera on her. She said, "Oh my God, this is good." They said, "Work."
Yeah.
One time season, Garza was giving her things. We were just
Yes.
giving her things like, please. And she's like,
Yes.
I'm gonna be friends with Diana. And I said,
Girl. And then even Allie Landry, we saw her a couple times. The former Dorito / Mario Love member, we saw her a couple times.
well, allegedly, she didn't screen test well, which is
Yeah.
why she never got.
Oh,
Allegedly.
okay. Wow. Okay. But that's a good point. That has made me even more excited about Bose Taylor.
And that's a good point, Taylor. And I do love like Salt Lake City. They built them out so well this season with the thing is, if you can have that nucleus, but you can just add on people like a Jennifer or a Brittany.
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
I think it just rounds out the story and the world that they're producing, you know. I do think the producers are secretly over Kyle this season. Because every time she speaks and says a lie, they just run the tape back. Meaning that Kyle isn't watching the season this year. She's like, oh, I'm not watching, because she knows. She's
It's too hard.
You know, it's too hard. I'm glad she feels that way, but I'm not sure. I don't see a future beyond. I give Cal one more season, but I just don't see it. There's not. She's not willing to play the game any longer.
No, and for so long she got away with it, because we heard, you know, on her podcast with Cynthia, Crystal Kung Minkoff said it was made very clear to her, this is Kyle's show.
Yeah.
And so then Sutton saying, bowing at the aisle of Kyle Richards, clearly that's a thing.
Yeah, and Kyle's her go-to is I've given so much to this franchise. No, your family has.
That's
Because
what. Oh,
was a huge factor in in the success of the show and Kyle's positioning. Once LVP left, well, she was, she was next in line. So
yeah.
she Kyle act as if she gave blood, sweat, and tears. Like, no, your family did. That whole, Richard slash Hilton, allure is what really kept us. And with the show, the cast of characters, the what's her name, the Brandy, the Lisa, the
Yes.
Erica, the Globals, that helped Erica. I mean, that helped Kyle because Kyle became like the leader in charge. She became in charge of the girls. So, but this whole unwillingness of not trying to say Morgan's name. She's like, well, I don't know about Mauricio and I. Da, 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 da. What affairs? What I'm like, girl, we're not doing this today. Like, we are
Yeah.
not. Like literally, homeboy is in the press on the blogs kissing his girlfriends. Like,
Right.
come,
Right.
Her friends,
yeah.
plural, yes.
It's like
Yes.
we're still, and mind you, those pictures were out when they were filming. So I'm like, we're playing this. So she's still playing this game as
Yeah.
if she has this, perfect marriage, and she's actually believing that Mauricio is in this condo just eating Cheerios and cup of noodles. I'm like, okay, girl.
With two towels and a washcloth.
Yeah. And allegedly is hooking up with a girl from Kimosabi, her favorite hat store in Aspen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
listen, if a man who you're with for such a long amount of time, the first thing he does is put his peckerwood where you shop or you eat, he does not respect you. And you know she loves them damn hats. I have a cowboy hat myself. Okay, I know how expensive they are. Do you know how hard it is to find a good spot, especially for us who are melanated with braids, to get a cowboy hat done? Those are fighting words for me, to be quite
Right.
honest.
He don't respect you. He could care less if you know. He could care. He's almost like a kid in a candy store watching this show. That's what I get from him. Like, and she's grieving and he's like, so how's it going? No, you don't need to buy me towels. I'm good. You haven't been over.
He had a picture of his Dancing with the Stars partner in his office. He took their wedding photo out, or one of many, and swapped it for that.
Yeah.
Somebody, you know what? He just met a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Cal wants us to believe that, everything's all well and we're just on a break. And that woman who was on the show with me last season, who I helped with her tattoo, I'm not going to say her name. I'm just like, okay.
And we see you out with her now. One thing that is pissing me off about her interviews, well, that's irritating me, is she keeps bringing up Bose. I like her, but she seems to have a lot to say. But if she didn't have a lot to say, oh yeah, she said that in a couple interviews, like she has a lot of opinions. And then she's throwing out there, and I know she's talking about Garcelle because Erica said it too, about Garcelle and Sutton sharing their lives in a recent, I don't know if it was on her recent Watch What Happens Live, but I read it on Reality Blurb. She says that she wishes some of the other cast members would show their kids. Some don't show their kids. And I know she's talking about Garcelle. And I said, oh, you want her to show the same child that you laughed at being cursed out by Erica? That child that you and your grown friends laughed at and thought it was funny? I was like,
so
oh, she's spiraling because she's not like, she just saying anything.
Well, is she going to ask her girlfriend, EJ Global, why she don't show her son?
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
police officer?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't believe, I'm like, what else do they want? What else do they want these castmates to show? Like them inside their bedrooms? Like, I don't understand what else you would want these castmates to show. I feel, for me as a mother, and we like seeing the family scenes, but then we're also like, moving along, kids. So I don't need to see her sons. It was cute seeing them modeling together. It's nice checking in, knowing how they're doing. We see that Oliver is spreading his seed. He didn't just had a baby girl. So we know all that stuff. We don't have to see them.
Also, there's a different set of standards for housewife kids who are Black.
Come on.
One of Garcelle's son stepped away and refused to film because he was subjected to some of the most intense anti-Black sentiments online. The one that I remember, someone said, to paraphrase, thank God your father is white. That's the only thing that prevent you being like George Floyd. That baby was on that line between preteen and teenager and was subjected to slurs that will be with him into the end of time. And I have yet to see a genuine, authentic apology
Come on.
from the housewives who laughed at him. And I think about this so much when we see other Black housewives and their cast members are like, oh, like, why are you unwilling to share this? Well, I want to protect my child from being called a slur that's going to be with them into the end of time in this life and the next. So I think I get to decide how they are going to present to the world. What always gets me about Kyle in particular, and I say this a lot whenever I get to talk about reality TV seriously with folks, her first daughter is technically a woman of color, a white passing woman of color, but is in like those are things where yes, she grew up in Beverly Hills and this and that, but let's say there's a reality where your first daughter was a little bit more darker and a little bit more ethnic features. How would this operate in this high society, haughty, tawty, white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, or white brunette world of Beverly Hills?
That's a great.
That is a really good point. Yeah. Because you saying that it took like, we know it, but we don't, like you said, she's passing. But when you say it, it's like, wow, you of all people.
Or you see her dad, because I remember the ex-husband did pop up in a few scenes, like sporadically through the years, parties and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. It really, to me, I don't like when they want to play in my face and on my intelligence. Like, no, we can see what you're doing in these interviews, in all of that. Like, we see you, we see what you're doing.
She's a child star, but I think she has failed to adapt herself to the modern age.
Yes.
Her and Kathy were trained back when those child stars had not an ounce of legal protection and were on the lot and were just subjected to a lot of intense things. So I get maybe to make a parallel to Bryn, that like she has always had to perform and do like a cost benefit analysis and who and who and who. But we know how the sausage is made now as people who watch reality TV. So I think the same audience that started with her in like the late aughts, early teens isn't who's watching her now. And she doesn't know how to operate in an interview or with a producer who's like, yeah, I've been watching since I was 13. I'm a grown adult. I'm paid to ask you this question. So yeah, this is great, but like, let's get into it. And she's like,
yeah,
I want to take a week off. Who else can take a week off from filming?
And that's what I think. That's what I said. I mean, Sutton, when I think of her saying her running off, it's not just about her leaving this scene. She got to not work for a week. Where do they do that at? And was talking, her previous interviews were, I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore. I don't know if I'm going to do it before the show. Watch What Happens Live. It was, they asked her about coming back. Wait, it was either Watch What Happens Live, because I think she's done Watch What Happens Live in another interview. I literally just read it before we got on. But they asked her about coming back for the next season. Oh, that would make me the longest running. And I love to either beat a record. So now the tides, she sees what the fans are saying. And now the tide, like her language is changing around coming back next season.
Yeah. She's at the last couple of seasons where she'll be on the Amazon Live. I don't know. Like Kyle, like I'm good. Like I'm good on Kyle. I already predicted anyway. So,
well, speaking of, unless y'all had any more Beverly Hills talk, anything that stood out. Okay, so Potomac for me, y'all. This last episode was better than all the episodes that I've watched this season. I enjoyed the chaoticness of it all. The way they filmed it, though, I was like, how many? So y'all edited these pieces together because they're sitting at the booth, they're going upstairs to get ready, they're back sitting at the booth, the outfits have changed. I'm like, so it was almost like the filming was just as chaotic as the dogs and everything that was going on. Y'all have heard the rumor by now that Kempire, shout out to Kempire, had a very reliable source tell him that what's going to come out at the reunion with TJ and Eddie and the whole phone calls, that the reason he's not there is because she was late on his last two payments, paying him to be on the show. Taylor, you just had a Beyonce moment, almost like, wait, what? Yes, his source told him that that's what's going to come out. I have liked Stacey. I want her to come back. I will say this. After hosting Kempire's show, she came on stage. She wanted to come to the show. She came on stage. I said, oh, okay. So she knows exactly what she's doing. So I see a lot of people saying she's a fool. That man don't want you. She knows it. But we've had 17 episodes and her and TJ have been the topic of 14 of them. As a first-time housewife. All the blogs are talking about you and TJ as a first-time housewife. You know exactly what you were doing if that's who you chose to pay to come on this show. I'm laughing at both of y'all faces.
I'm confused. Okay, so if the payment system, I'm calling the payment system. If the payment system is true, was he directed not to like her?
Well,
because that's I didn't watch the entire season, but from the clips and the snippets that I did, never seemed to enjoy her company. And so did she direct him? Like, okay, so just if you be very stoic, show no emotion. Was this like an improv? It just had bullets to hit. He didn't seem like he enjoyed her company, so honey, that wasn't money well spent.
Taylor sipping her tea.
I mean, am I wrong, Taylor? Because he didn't seem like he enjoyed her.
My daddy always told me, if you like your job, 8 hours of work will feel like 30 minutes. If you hate your job, 8 hours will feel like an eternity. And I know every time that man went to work, he put on some Marvin Sapp, lit an incense, looked at himself in the mirror, and said, do I really need this?
Not Marvin Sapp. Not Marvin.
He really had that.
Which one?
Child, listen. He said, who saw the best
to me?
When everyone else around could only see the worst. And we see the worst in him. But to your point, TJ, I saw on social media, I guess way back in the day, had like a guest spot on like Sister.
Yes.
And like has sporadically been seen in kind of like the late 90s, early 2000s Black TV show. So he, even if he does not like Stacey, even if you don't like her, likes mess, likes attention, likes being on TV, and likes being talked about. Two people can hate each other, but put up with each other over one mutual shared thing. They like when people talk about them. And if she is smart, like the ways I think she is smart, she is going to monetize this into a hinder, a tinge, a blackpeoplemeet.com,
yes,
can be on OWN because of Netflix conflicts, but she's going to do something around love and romance and dating for Black women who are Christian of a certain generation. I see the campaign right now. Okay. Yes. He will find some Black men's health podcast to talk about how hard it is to date at this age in reality TV.
Oh, that is.
Maybe he'll end up on Zeus. I don't know.
That is when they were at the show at the end and they were talking and he said, this is going to be great for you and me. I said, yeah, because you want them to see your hosting skills because they met at QVC. He is no longer there. So it'll be great for his hosting skills. I said, Stacey came on with this now, because there was also conversation that allegedly she came on. She presented one package of her life. She married this, that, knowing she was going through a divorce. And when she came on, she switched it up. But at the show, she did say, she said the producers were aware of every single thing. There were times when her soon-to-be ex-husband was actually in the house while she was filming. So she said they did know this. So I said, she also knew, and come on, again, like Taylor said earlier, we've been doing this reality thing a while. They have, we as viewers. So she knows we would have all been consistently talking about the fact if she came on without this special friend, why can't we see this man? She would have become an Ashley and Michael Darby. We wouldn't have seen him, and that wouldn't have flown, that wouldn't fly with the viewers or the producers. So I said, she had this man come on, and she was willing to look like the little innocent Bambi led to slaughter because he's my best friend, guys. I said, bring AJ on. Let him come on as a cow to her Giselle.
You know what, y'all? Calling it now. If
Okay.
Love Hotel is good, she'll be on the second season.
Oh,
If Love Hotel is good, we need some single housewives for that dating show. If it does be,
I can see Stacey.
me too. She would play right into that very well.
mm-hmm.
I could definitely see that. Oh yeah.
That's the play.
That's the play. That's because it's another Bravo show. It's another, I could see that. I enjoyed how Stacey was keeping up with Karen. When she called her raggedy, Stacey said this.
And that's what the show needs. The show needs someone who is quick.
Yes.
Because there are none. There are none of the cast are as quick. They can, quick and it hits. Because Jackson kind of like spiraled out. So she came. And think about it, it's so much you can read Karen on.
Yes.
It's so much. And they try. See, Mia does it in a way this doesn't. Mia has so much to read. You can read Mia herself. So it's like wrong messenger.
Yeah.
Right. But the messenger, girl, we don't want to see it right now.
Yeah.
You need someone who is going to give it to her. I am fan casting.
Okay.
They need to, I don't care if she's local, outside of the DMV area, bring a woman, an affluent woman who has coins, like a Bose type, bring it to Potomac to give it to Karen. You know, because Karen is all smoke and mirrors. Karen is just, after that whole, like, she don't care for Wendy, I'm like, Karen, you know, you just light-skinned vibes, right? I'm like, you are literally just light-skinned vibes.
That's it.
Karen's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I think they need someone who is affluent, who has wealth or can perform wealth and affluence and really get under Karen's feathers, because Karen is unrattled and Karen needs to be rattled.
Yeah. The only one who could have done it would have been Candace quickly, like with that. But then again, it would just be a back and forth. She wouldn't have rattled Karen. But then again, Karen did call HR. That's true.
I want a woman that's in her 50s, fab, like, to come on there and really not say it, but Karen will be shook because Karen, she has too much. We love the grand dame. I give her flowers on a lot of things, but this whole, like, saying someone's not Potomac, I'm like, girl, you ran into a tree. Like, girl,
and you were in Potomac season 1. That was it. So to act as if you are the standard of what Potomac could be, and really had Wendy almost rattled her by her credentials alone, because remember Wendy's first season, I'm not impressed.
Listen,
4 degree. Like what?
Said, Wendy can have 1 degree and still be more accomplished than all the women on the show.
Yes. Yeah. If Wendy wanted to really be in that, big mama bag, she could, but she's outnumbered by the Giselle. So it's like, let me just humble. I think sometimes Wendy is a little too humble. Yes. And I think that she's sensitive, and she's not, when you take somebody like a Candace who is willing, she may cry, but she would still cuss you out and she not backing down. Wendy is not that. Wendy is still, because I felt for Wendy when she came in, and in her mind, she's probably thinking, oh, this season I'm good, I'm whatever. And then the conversation is about you and what this person has said about you. So I think Wendy is sensitive. So we need somebody who isn't afraid to, I'm gonna cuss you out and keep going, and then what? Also, I enjoyed Giselle's little shenanigan when she went back to the store and bought the dress. But what I wish she had done was went back, bought the dress, and sent it to Wendy and said, wear it to the show. That's what I wish. She did send it to her afterwards. She said on Watch What Happens Live. But if you notice, Giselle said, Wendy said she didn't want, Stacey said she didn't want anybody wearing that dress looking better than her. No, Stacey said she didn't want Wendy wearing the dress and looking better than her. So, yeah, I enjoyed the episode. Do y'all see the same cast coming back? And I only say that, well, of course, they were asking Stacey about filming, and she's, of course, says, I haven't heard anything. I don't know anything. But then someone there has a good friend, shout out to Danielle, has a friend who's been invited to Jassie's wedding. Her friend didn't get a +1. Stacey got a +1. So Danielle was like, did you get a +1? And Stacey's like, I did. And she's like, are you bringing TJ? So they were trying to find out about TJ, but then Stacey answered, and I'll tell you what I heard. She said, you guys will have to watch. We'll probably be filming. So I was like, so did she just let us know that she's coming back and Jassie's coming back and they're filming her wedding? Because she just said it. So we'll probably be filming. You'll have to see. So I was like, oh, well, maybe Jassie's coming back. I would like to see more of her. Because from what we saw in the first half, I enjoyed that. What do y'all think?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Jassy is the one dating or in a relationship with a Kansas City Chiefs player, correct?
Who's now with Dallas.
Okay. Just put salt in my wound already. I don't have whiskey in my tea, so this is really a lot for me. And the sun's out, and I don't drink when it's sunning because God will shun me. Now, do y'all remember when a post went through the blog sphere that allegedly Bravo had greenlit a series about the wags of the Kansas City Chiefs? And I remember that and looking at Jazzy and being like, oh, they're using her as a backdoor to get this pilot off the air. In my personal opinion, that's why you did not see her as much, because she is going to be that transitional person to this series. I hate to bring it back to sports, but I was reading around this coverage of the Super Bowl that the Kansas City Chiefs is working with a production company, or they're going to start producing things in-house that are like original content for streamers, right?
Wow.
Yes. Bravo loves a bag. Bravo loves a trend. I thought Jazzy literally was there to bring that sports fan base that was reinvigorated by Wes Wilson on Summer House, who I call Bravo's Travis Kelce. That's what I assumed her role was going to be, was just the audience knows her, they get familiar with her, they get comfortable with her, and then whenever we have her do the teaser, the trailer, they know at least one face and name, intro these girls in. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I think you're something, and I did see those stories.
Me too.
Because I thought that Jossie was at the reunion. I said,
she is.
Why? Yeah, I was like, well, why? Because she didn't contribute anything to me as a whole, as a casual watcher this season. I didn't see every episode, but I didn't think she was in it a lot. So when I saw her outfit at the reunion, I said, okay, cool. So this must be the through line, just to keep her present in our minds. And then later in the fall, she pops up with her own WAG style show. Because I don't see her coming back to Potomac next year. She doesn't live in the area.
No, because now he's in Dallas.
Yeah, so hopefully that show I'm quite sure there's a show.
Yeah, and maybe if they film her wedding, that's what they'll use to lead into the show. Because
Wedding was supposed to be the lead-in for the Vanderpump kind of show before it was the Valley. They always try to get a
Right.
wedding fit. That's because everybody's there, they're
Yeah.
bridesmaids, they're groomsmen, and then it's doop.
Right. That's okay. I would like to see that show, especially produced by a Bravo. I definitely would like to see a Wags style show because I liked the original Wags. Did y'all watch Wags to Riches?
I can't remember. I don't
You
think.
didn't. You didn't watch it. You would remember the one that just came out with Sherelle.
Oh, that has Yes Jules on it?
Yes.
Oh no, I didn't. Oh no, I didn't watch it. I saw the clip.
Yeah.
You
Not
watched it,
during
Taylor?
not during Black History Month.
Mm.
There is just some things.
That you just can't
Also,
do.
for context, I'm deep in research about a book about the history of Black women reality TV. So just assuming how that was casted and how that was a stunt casting to get reactions out of Black women and Black queer folks who are the predominant fan bases of unscripted reality
Mhm.
TV, knowing Yes Jules' history.
Yes.
People always say the producers aren't smart. They are smart and they know how to get you. And
Yep.
Yes Jules also loves a check. And that's all I have to say about that series
Yes.
on Netflix. But it's really the year of the WAG, and I think Bravo was trying to get
Some
some
of that.
sports content. And if it's not Kansas City, maybe she could do a reboot of Dallas because that has always been the rumor on
Yeah.
Drugs and Cocktails and Reddit and all of these blogs. Remember, allegedly Jessel was connected to, the Real Housewives of Dallas reboot. So I think Bravo wants to get back into the Texas, whether
Mhm.
it's a Dallas. I saw in Bravo and Cocktails, so whether that be true or false, that they allegedly filmed like a VPR Southern Hospitality show in Houston with an all-black cast, but they haven't found like a matriarch to lead it. But I
Oh,
see Bravo moving into like sports and also wanting to move into tech because Georgia's getting oversaturated.
okay.
Allegedly, the girls from Southern Charms New Orleans filmed a Real Housewives of New Orleans pilot. Lord knows if we'll ever see the side of day, but I think these new housewives that we're getting on these shows are really kind of like placeholders for what the network is going to do next.
Mm. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I could see them getting into the sports side of it because that's big. People want to see these and that is the fabulosity that has kind of dwindled away from some of the housewife franchises, the lifestyle, the all of that. So that's okay.
Also, if that show does come to Bravo, they could air it honestly after Atlanta, this new iteration of Atlanta.
Mm.
Wags meets Love and Hip Hop esque from the promo, from the trailer. That was my initial reaction. So, because it's given very Portia and Friends, very. So I think they can run it after. I think the new Atlanta and the WAG show, I think that's the same audience, pretty much.
Yeah,
You
yes, I
know,
agree.
Salt Lake, so yeah.
Let me ask you this, Carlos. I know you said you didn't watch all the episodes, but I know you've watched enough of them. Taylor, I know you've watched the episodes of Potomac. Looking at the cast as a whole and what they were trying to do, for me, it felt like we all have come to the consensus that clearly Giselle had a conversation with some higher ups, and it's like, we need to move on, right? We need to move these beefs along. I felt like I was watching Wendy, Stacy, and I'll even give it to Ashley a little bit. Ashley, Mia. I felt like the ladies were trying to do something. We're going to make a show. With Giselle, I felt like I was watching her clock in like she didn't necessarily, like, this is my job. I'm here, but I wouldn't really hang out with these girls. Look, we know by now that all the housewives don't know each other, but we do like to see them have some sort of relationship. And when we see them actually hanging out outside the show, you're like, oh, wow, they are building. I don't see Giselle hanging out with any of these ladies outside the show. So to me, it was almost like when that one auntie that always has something to say comes. I didn't feel like, even though I enjoyed her the last episode as a whole, as a cast, I didn't feel like she kind of fit. I felt like Potomac seemed like they could go with a new wave in a different direction with cast people. How did y'all feel?
I
Silence.
think 2 points, 2 points. I think the beginning of the season, viewers saw Giselle adjusting to a Robin-less
Okay.
season, also to having to swallow her pride and play nice with Wendy.
Okay.
I know Giselle goes home after she clocks out and like, thank God I am considered a beautiful woman in society because I am mediocre and I don't bring much. She knows it. We all know it. That is it. Giselle is lead. She's a co-lead. Work well together. I do think they want to keep Giselle around and Karen as long as possible because they don't want to. Okay. There are maybe 10 to 15 years between Giselle and Mia in age
Yeah.
range. They're like, with the reaction, the overwhelming reaction to Mia's storyline. And Rodney DeVoice made a great point. Mia didn't produce herself.
That's
She
true.
didn't edit herself.
He did.
That
Yeah.
the producer thought that was the only interesting
Come
thing
on.
on the season. And that's sad. That is
And
truly sad. That is all they had to work with.
it's telling. It's very telling.
So it's like you have all this basically dead weight on this show, just sitting here and saying little one-liners here and there. It's like, where is the story? Giselle doesn't have a story, and now she's an empty nester. She has to bring something. Like she has to bring something. She does it for a lot of people. She don't do it for me.
Me neither.
But I was like, I'm not caught up in how she look. Never was, never will be. But yeah, she's very mediocre at best. And I just do think that hopefully, I don't know, next season they just, really drive it home that you need an actual storyline. That's believable.
Yes. Yes. Taylor, have you recovered from Carlos's read?
Oh,
No, a little light read, little light.
Oh my God, I'm not even laughing, and I felt that.
Like, girl, it's plain. I mean,
I
you're
think
not special to me.
from a media perspective, I have an interesting viewpoint of.
Okay.
Are y'all familiar with the Lost Culturistas podcast?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. The podcast hosted by Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers is Housewives Central. Every housewife wants to be on this podcast. Also, the star power of them, Bowen is a cast member on SNL within Wicked. Matt Rogers has been on tour on Netflix. They do Good Morning America. They do Hoda.
Yes.
I mean, they really have crossed over into pop culture as like America's two favorite gay best friends, right? Bowen vocally tells Andy to his face on Watch What Happens Live and on their podcast that he cannot stand Giselle. I mean, has just put a campaign out about how much he does not like her, right? And I don't want to equate one podcaster having the superpower to unseat a housewife. However, if we have to talk in terms of NBC Universal, he's on SNL. Peacock had the podcast do something with the Paris Olympics. He was on Wicked, New Yorker, interviewer, New York Times. He has a lot of power and sway. One of their friends, Joakim Booster, is the host of Love Hotel. So you do have this friend group that is powerful, that does influence pop culture, that on its own gets write-ups in Variety. And I know, doing research for my book, that Bravo does take that into the Q score and who is going to be brought back, how much credence they're going to get, X, Y. So I want to hold space for that. But also, we talked about casting. What has made it so difficult with Atlanta and Potomac is so many affluent powerhouse movers and shakers don't want to be on the show.
Right.
So I know we fan cast, we want someone to rile up Karen, we really want the Atlanta It Girls, da, 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 da. They also say no. So then the producers are kind of stuck like, well, we want to reboot and we want to, innovate it, but who's going to come and take these spots?
Right.
And that really happened a lot in Atlanta and Potomac. What I've been learning is that, like, because you think about Potomac, that started Jack and Jill, very elite, very debutante, very, and that DC scene is always connected to politics. And unlike white politicians who can do whatever they want to do and then end up on Z-Way, Black politicians, because of their Blackness, can't move like that.
Come on.
So as much as I love to have a former senator's rights, a former congresswoman, somebody who's the head of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, like they used to go to back in the day when it was still a Black political show. I think they're kind of forced to be like, well, I hope y'all heifers know how to work because ain't nobody coming in. Like, I really think there are some Black cities where they're just like, the people who we would really want to be in here don't want to. So then they're like, all right, bring your friend on and we'll just give it a spin. They're kind of like coaches with transfers, like, well, we're not going to win the championship, but maybe we'll win one more extra game. And that's like what's happening with casting on all these shows,
That's how we get a Mia and a Jacqueline.
You know what, Taylor? You made an excellent point. You said the issues with Potomac and Atlanta has always been casting. And I wonder if it's when the producers approach women and there's like, of course, those shows are all Black cast. So it's like almost like the internal anti-Blackness. Like, well, I don't want to be associated with an all-Black cast because Miami they have Kiki and they have Gertie. So it's like it's not a racially monolithic cast. So I wonder if that's like the hesitance of it. And back to Potomac, and again, I wouldn't mind Potomac if they were funny, they could read, because Atlanta, think about it, Atlanta was very regular in the beginning before the coins was born. They were they didn't have the wealth or the high society standing in New York. However, they were funny.
They had personality.
Aren't funny. They are too regular. Taylor, I'm originally from DC, so I'm very familiar with everything. And I always tell Taria and my friends, I'm like, girl, they got the same stuff my uncle got. Like, this is right. They are too regular for me. Potomac, they are too regular. Ain't that funny? Oh, girl, come here.
And people don't even realize that when Potomac was coming, because I live in Maryland, Taylor, and I'm born and raised in Jersey, Jersey girl through and through. I always have to throw that out there. Like, listen, that's home. But when Potomac had been named, people were like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't think people get, like, Montgomery County is either the second or third richest county in the United States, but that's not what we're seeing on Potomac. But remember, Charisse has said more than once, because she put Potomac together, that she went to her friends first and they said no. So then she reached out to the next tier of friends.
Speaking of Charisse, I always say Charisse is the real grand dame, but visually, networks they want Aaron to be the grand dame.
Club. Yeah.
I would love it if franchises would kind of do with Jenna being on and authentically bringing Raquel. I think Raquel is a great addition. Right? Because she is New York, Norican, Black, Latinx, queer to her core. That is New York.
Yes.
And that was an organic friendship. And I have been reading so much press about her. I don't know if y'all listen to Your Favorite Auntie show. It's another podcast.
I've been meaning to check them out.
They're really, really good. They're really good. They have Raquel on there. They've had Jessel, because also the host, she was like, I believe, the first Black woman to be a culture editor at Vogue. She's also
I love that.
And
Okay. Yes.
Who allegedly, it's funny, Joseph's been trying to get her on as a housewife, and Raquel was like, please come on as a friend of. And I secretly want her on because she is also New York, like in the it scene, worked at Vogue, fashion, art, everybody knows her. But I think what made Raquel be so good, and also have Jenna kind of speak up at the reunion, they were both later in life lesbians and queer who really are power shakers and movers. So it's like, we don't need this show to make us, but you being
Hmm.
on the show let my true personality come out. And because
Yeah.
we have that absence of real friendship in Potomac, we're all just watching characters. We're just watching not even a Lifetime movie, because I love me some Lifetime. The
Yeah.
Housewives be on. I don't know what we are watching, but I
Yeah.
think all of us feel like, you don't like her, you couldn't stand her, you push her off a bridge, and I'm supposed to think y'all all want to go to Miami. The most accurate thing about that Miami trip is when girls who don't like each other go to Miami and fight. That was the only accuracy. I don't want to see y'all go to domestic places. If I can go with my little freelance author check to whatever place y'all went to, cut it.
Yeah.
Where's the China trips? Where was Beverly Hills going to Dubai before we had a Real Housewives of Dubai? R.I.P. You know?
Yeah. You're right.
Well,
It's like we're watching them. It was different with Salt Lake, kind of watching them build something. Like we're literally watching them try to restructure Potomac, but like restructure with the same people, like with the addition of one or two. It's just not clicking. And my God, today I love Kay. I do. I said I was going to the place that I used to go to get my facial things done. I want Kay's only 15 to 20 minutes from me. I pass her spot all the time. I said, I'm going to patronize. I want to see her there. I, she didn't click for me with, I felt like she'd be a really good friend of, but there was just something not there. And I don't know if it's because she was added as a housewife last minute. So then they tried to shove Greg and Kay, and had to film these scenes and put them in. But it was like, then I'm thinking, they deserve more than one. I feel like a lot of housewives deserve more than one season to kind of get their footing. This is new for them. Even though she was a friend, she wasn't like full-time friend last season. So
Yeah, and I think Kay should have remained a friend for this current season, and it
yeah.
would have made sense as why her scenes were sporadic, or she showed up
Yeah.
only. I do think the late addition to her and the post production of adding all the scenes, I wonder if it was the show, well, the producers overcorrecting coming out of a colorism season. So
Come
I
on.
think of like Stinky, we have Jati, we have Daisy Jati,
Okay.
two, yeah, Kay, yeah, two, the three brown skin girls. See,
Let's say it. They
girl.
said we need to get some women that can't pass the paper bag test. That's what they said.
and producers listen to media. Like in the past few years, as someone who is in media and has written about Black reality TV for different publications,
Hmm.
producers are looking at what's coming out about the season. For instance, Real Housewives of Orange County, every article that came out about Alexis Bellino, she's terrible, she's ruining this show, this is the year of the flop, da 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 da. Now, I don't want to say the power of media is overpowering, the metrics that they use for the Q score, but it does play an integral role, right? There were so many pieces written about colorism on Real Housewives of Potomac
Yes.
and all these other Bravo shows, right? I wrote about Venita on Southern Charm
Yes, you
for
did.
Essence. Oh, I wrote about the difficulties of making Summer House Martha's Vineyard for Essence, right? What goes into it. So I do believe, and I would piggyback off your point, that they were like, okay, we get a lot of shit for this. Lord, forgive me for cussing. So let's try to correct it, right?
Yeah.
If you have someone like a Z-Way who's also talking about,
Come on.
colors, and that is someone who is a Black woman, but also goes to these couture fashion shows and fashion also loves Bravo, then you also are going to bend the knee to these other industries as well.
That is that, and like you said, the power of media. When you think about it, because even the housewives try to use media, because if you're not careful, viewers, you can get swayed by the media around you, which is why I would think about Jen Aiden and Teresa and what came out, that they were giving information to media. So the media outlets, and people may say, well, they were just Instagram and Twitter. These are, I'm gonna say they're social media outlets putting out this information that already has your mind set to not like Margaret, not like Danielle. And then you start viewing it the way they put it out before we've even seen it. So the power of media. So I can see big corporations being like, you know what?
And you know what? To Taylor's point, back to the power of media, Alexis Bellino, the colorism, this degradation of Mia and Potomac. Because always, Tarina always say this. I pay attention to all media. I read all media, black media, white media. When white media and black media both saying the same thing about the Bravo show, the two opposite ends come to and say, and they're speaking in the same voice about the same thing, you know it's going to change. You know for sure. And everyone was tired of this Mia and her Pimp Village again.
Taylor is dead.
Mia did not edit herself. No shit. She did not edit herself.
Yeah.
So,
do y'all think, because I said once we saw what Giselle was saying, to me, what had me looking at Giselle crazy too is like, oh, I'm so shocked by Mia. Girl, a couple seasons back, you sat in your confessional and said, we all know Mia lies. We love her, because she was going up against someone who you were also in contention with. And then now seeing Giselle's interviews before the show, during the show, she was on an interview run, baby. Because when the colorism stuff was coming out for the last couple of years, she wasn't doing a whole lot of talking. And now everything is Mia. She's dead to me. She's this, she's that. You got Ashley saying, do you see a world in which they don't bring Mia back? There was a part of me that was like, maybe Giselle, we know that she would love to X Mia out, but also that was what everybody was talking about. You see a world in her not coming back?
Listen, in the famous words of Cynthia Supermodel Bailey, so what else is going on? Because if Mia not, what else is going on?
Yeah.
What do you think, Taylor?
I think we're seeing the fall of the OG across franchises. I think the OG is lazy because they've been able to build, I don't want to necessarily say wealth, but they've been able to move and have economic mobility and freedom because of this show. It's kind of similar to Candy on Atlanta. You are sitting there earning this money for little work and little effort and little labor. So if Mia goes, are you going to work? Because to be quite honest, it's cheaper to keep Mia.
Yeah.
Yes. Very.
You leave, your children are in college, you got reasonable shady, you can probably get on Traders, whatever NBC project. I can keep Mia and then get 3 of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want her gone, I want her gone, I want her gone. Okay, cool. But also, OGs don't have the power they used to have in the network.
Yeah.
The OGs of Roni, Atlanta, OC, and Beverly Hills, Andy was still working with them hand in hand. The moment Andy decided to become talent, they lost their power and advocate in the network with someone who was making decisions. But they still act like they can just call up Bravo. I don't know if y'all have read Brian Morland's book, but he talked about how Ramona Singer used to call up Bravo.
Yep.
And one lady didn't know who she was, and she's like, I'm Ramona Singer. Who do you not know who I am? And I think the OGs still have that well, if I say it enough, it'll happen, not knowing the leadership has changed. Andy's really a talent, and they're also always going to try to cut costs. So what are you going to do? We saw you try to do it, Jason, at Winter House. Nobody really liked him on Winter House, or he would have gotten a promotion to Summer House.
Yeah.
Your children are in college. They're too young to film. They're not going to be making it in Manhattan. To be honest, that could really be Karen's way back in if they cast Raven on making it in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
has a way to come back to the network.
Yeah.
Dale, Robin don't. Their children are too young. They're in college. So be careful. Always be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
Because
Karen,
those tides turn.
she can do it through her daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those tides definitely will turn on you.
Ashley's pretty young. She'll do Love Hotel, but the premise of Love Hotel is you find a lover. How are you going to come back? The girls aren't thinking. I want them to think.
And even speaking of Karen Taylor, Karen has a cameo in Beyond the Gates. It's like she has, again, I would give that lady her flowers. She has parlayed this whimsical, tongue-in-cheek moniker that they've given her, and she's taken it outside of the show. Giselle is just the show only. That's it.
Yes.
Because she's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
Yeah. Because she rested on the fact, and I'll never forget, and I've said it over and over, when her and Robin had Carlos King on their podcast a couple of years ago, and he talked about how he thought Potomac was going to be boring, da 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 da, and then their progression on, and he thought Monique really helped kind of catapult the show. And Giselle, out of her mouth, said she knew it was going to be a hit because the world had not seen light-skinned, green-eyed bandits, educated women. That's what she said. I posted it like last year on my page, but I remember when I first heard that, and I said, because that's what she thought. That's what, based on how I look.
She puts value in how she looks due to society. We know this, but she's let it run her entire life. Even at her age, she's still letting it run her life. And I think that's ultimately will always be her downfall.
She's still the head hazer on the yard at an HBCU in her sorority.
And Lord Jesus, we know we don't need any more old heads coming back to the green, to the yard, to the campus. What irritates me the most sometimes about Black housewives, in the beginning, I understand the media landscape was different. They weren't getting features. They weren't getting interviews. They weren't being taken seriously. I understand it, right? It's a different media market. If you don't have 50, 1,100 businesses from that first season, or if you're not using your place on the show to get you to other places, I'll say all this. And Lord, forgive me for speaking highly of a white woman during Black History Month. Please forgive me. One of the smartest people on Bravo is Paige DeSorbo. One of the smartest people. If you are a young non-housewives talent, you need to look at that girl's playbook. Allegedly. Please don't quote me. Do not sue me. I don't have the money, and I love to fight. It's making $13 million a year on touring. They have a book coming out with Simon Schuster. They have the tour. Paige has her Amazon lives. She got another show on Amazon. She got named to Variety Most Powerful Woman in Reality TV. The girl got a DSW shoe line coming out. She got an Upper West Side apartment. She wore Off-White to the Council of Fashion Designers America gala.
Yeah.
Last year, baby. Not a housewife.
Paige is one of them girls. She is one of them girls.
Literally joined Summer House. What is it? Season 3. I don't think she was on season 2.
Yeah, she was on season. It was 3, right? Season 3 or 4? 3?
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because I think she came first and then Hannah came afterwards, or did her and Hannah come at the same time?
Her and Hannah came at the same time. They came together.
Regardless, has built herself, is in so many different networks and industries that if she says, I don't want to be a Bravo anymore because I don't want to hear y'all talk about my ancient ass ex-boyfriend, she's still going to be good.
Yeah.
And I just want our older housewives, specifically our Black ones, to realize at any moment in time, you are at will employee of NBC Universal. At will. And for our light-skinned housewives, white media still sees you as Black, so what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
Because if the white gay journalists who are the ones who review these publications, these shows at Vulture and New York Magazine, because also, don't get me started about race in reality TV show coverage. There's a reason why you don't see any Black about it.
Girl,
different con have me back.
I was going to say you will be back for that conversation because, baby,
They have their own biases. And if they do not like you,
then the audience doesn't like you. If they want to spin, then the audience doesn't spin.
if
I mean, then
they're
the audience
writing,
spins.
if they're writing for the publications that the executives read and their wives read and their partners read, and the wife is saying, honey, I just read this in Vulture and she just seems like such a mean lady. Why do you
Come
have her
on.
on?
Come on.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something. If Nene don't say anything else, she said these girls are starless.
Less.
And heavy on the less. No
Let me
shade.
what you said about the way they write, because I look at how they write about. Let me tell you, I'll never forget. It was a couple years ago, and it was after the fight on Potomac, and people were talking about Candace's mouth. And I have always been one to say, you don't get to dictate someone's response to you. Can we say some responses are over the top? Yes. I've raised my kids saying, you can't throw a pebble at somebody and then get mad when they throw a boulder back and shatter your life because you should have left them alone. And I find that to be true on these housewives. And I started bringing up the different things that Ashley has said and did. And you know what they said? Oh, wow. I just forget the awful things she does because she's just so cute. That which translated to me is she's just so white passing.
Yeah.
Because Candace is not any different. And I'm seeing it with Uba, and it's really pissing me off. I had somebody tell me that Uba was just as dangerous as Bryn. I said, well, what we're not going to do is say that. This narrative that Uba is a danger when we've had housewives give black eyes, housewives snatch somebody across the barn table, housewives like Dorinda, housewives like Bryn weaponizing her trauma. We're not going to say Uba is any worse than some of these racist housewives. So you saying that, like, when these different when these white outlets that are covering that get the in with Bravo with the sprinkling of the black ones, but when they get the in with Bravo and they write about these women and they're writing about Giselle and how she looks and Robin and Ashley, then there is a skew. People view the Candace and the Wendy different because of the media, or when they're only posting the responses of the Wendy's and the Candace and the whomevers versus the shenanigans of the Giselles, of the of the Robins. So that is a really good point, Taylor. That really is.
And you agree, Taria, with the correlation of a Bryn and an Ashley, and they're both biracial women. Yes, Ashley isn't white passing, but biracial, just looking at her,
Yeah.
So
I said, I'll never forget. It goes back to me, that argument on Twitter when they tried to jump on Candace and say, that Ashley was in labor. Ashley started that whole Twitter exchange, and Candace twice said, leave my husband out of it. Please don't make me come for you. Ashley in labor kept going. And when Candace fired off her response, Ashley deleted her tweets. And now we're coming but we forget that Ashley was, as Rodney the Voice would say, hell on wheels for how many seasons, but we excuse that behavior. And then Dr. Wendy says, Dr. Wendy to you, sweetie, and she's arrogant. But okay.
Your name. We speak your name. She is so miss, but also a smart young black housewife because is a part of her Grammy chapter.
Come on.
Was White House. With all the mess, Bravo still had her on those Instagram lives around Black History Month. I mean, for everything that was said and done, still a network star and a darling. And I do hope there's a way she can come back. I would love it if even it was kind of like a Portia Williams, where it's like we kind of clean house, we bring back Candace. Maybe she's made some mom friends, maybe she has some industry friends in DC.
Right.
Let's find someone did significant work in go-go and like that genre. Like if we're not going to do it like politics, I would love to see some DC Black culture.
Right. Yes. Some actual, yes.
Granddaughter of whoever made Ben's Chili Bowl rich. Like, can we get something?
That's a good point. And And to your point earlier, Taylor, you are right. It's like the OGs are being, I mean, there aren't that many
Yeah,
left. You
yeah.
know, though Giselle and Karen do represent an old guard of Potomac, and I think that's why it feels very like it's
Disjointed.
yes, disjointed. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah. That was the issue this season. Watching the OGs, even Karen mentioned it. She said, "We gotta get. So we're the OGs. We gotta get them together." It's there. It's I don't know if it's an age thing with is the age disparity is just too wide,
Yeah.
you know, because they really wouldn't hang out with each other. So
Mhm.
I mean, we can dissect Potomac all day, but yeah.
Well, I told y'all I wasn't gonna have y'all long, and I was looking. I was like, I didn't kept them for 22 minutes after the time I told them, but I couldn't let y'all go because the conversation was so good. So I appreciate y'all for coming. Oh, okay. 2 more minutes. Final thoughts. I know that part 3 is coming on tonight. Salt Lake City, rapid fire thoughts. First thing that comes to mind, go.
Taylor, go first.
Now they're not finna be rapid because we both took so much time. I'll
Okay.
tell you that.
Okay.
Delayed.
Look, they don't
No,
got to be rapid. I was trying to be nice, but so you can take as long as you want, you know?
I know Bernie Mac said Black Irish, Black Greek here, here for Angie. Um, Miss $4 million necklace needs to figure out who her friends are. She is showing what happens when you're a fan of the show, and you're still acting like a fan on the show. I need her to act the way she got that snowflake. Brittany, I didn't know the Osmonds were that powerful, to be quite honest. But more scare me. And like not on like some religious discrimination. I just, as a little girl, had to do a state project about Utah and found out that Mormons used to teach that Black people were demons until the 1970s.
Say it again. Say it
You
again.
can see the videos are on YouTube. So like it just is always scary to me.
Yep.
Can't stand Heather Gay. Meredith needs to go to Roni. And Lisa Barlow needs some good EDMR ketamine therapy.
I love it.
Okay,
So,
Mary.
Oh, child, listen, who's ever doing Mary's hair?
baby.
Because the
Can
first
we?
couple of seasons, Mary was getting this down, the hair, it was lead out, it was this, it was that. I have no qualms about Mary. I have no qualms. Perfect return to form. That's how you make a comeback. A lot of people,
Yes.
Tamara J. Mary is how you make a comeback because Mary had to remind these heifers, this show is built around me.
Thank you. Lisa keeps taking credit, but it was.
It came around me and my step. I won't even speak his name, but I'm really glad that reminded the girls who the queen of Salt Lake City is and that I run this. And now she got Angie, and I hope they just light them up. I hope they just sit there and for Heather first, because one thing I hate is a flip-flopper. One thing I hate is a snake.
And one that pretends to be self-deprecating. Stand, if you gonna be that ish, stand in it. But the whole
and how you to do that? Like if you want to be the villain who is tormenting you in high school or whatever, be that girl.
Yes.
Don't be the nice girl who poisoned the brownies.
Oh, girl. Don't be the
like
nice
that.
girl who poisoned. I like that one too. I like that. Okay.
Here in Mean Girls, yeah, Regina, this is a weight loss bar when really it was to help her gain weight. That's what
yes.
helping you know you hate me.
Yes, I love Mean Girls.
I feel like this is a full circle moment for you and I, Tari, because remember my last appearance was we reviewed the season the season 1, not season 1, child. The one new season of Salt Lake. I just have 2 points. I hope they bring back the older Black lady with the glasses. Like, I need her. I just need her. I want to know where she lives.
Who is she? Right.
I know her thought process when she saw Braun walking out. I want that. I just need. I need to know her name. I
Yes.
just need other Black faces on Salt Lake. My last, what I said again, repeat. Mary Cosby was the MVP, and I'm so glad I called it out because I knew it. I knew Mary had it in her, and I'm just happy. And I'll miss them. It's rare I miss a housewife show when they go off air, but
Same.
like they deliver beyond. So yes, I'll
I
miss
was
them.
trying to find that article. Here it is. This was the idea of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City originally came to Bravo through original cast member Mary Cosby. Somebody had discovered her as a great character. She was pitched, and we started to find other characters to go around her. This was said, hold on one second. Noah Sampton, Senior VP of Programming and Development at NBC Universal. So, how Lisa Barlow continues to say, as of recently, that Salt Lake was built around her. I need y'all to understand it's the house that Mary built.
Come on, in the church. The church.
Amen. Which I have to say, tying New York and Salt Lake City, when Rebecca was talking about no other religions are talked about like that, I said, can we cut to Mary and what they tried to say about Mary, especially the viewers that don't understand the Black church and the different things that white viewers were saying about Mary while Mormonism was the backdrop?
We talk about the last season of Potomac, and your mother has an altar in worship in Neville. That's what really ticked me off about the last season of Potomac. Black religions in the United States are already demonized, dehumanized, weaponized since Black people came to this country. So for her Nigerian sister,
come on,
to take her the bus and subject her to intense media attention and scrutiny.
Come on, people talking about her saying Holy Ghost fire, people who have not been a part of that type of environment. Not saying that all Black people, serve in that way, but we know what the viewers were and the big media outlets were trying to say around those things. I mean, I never understood the audience who went up for Heather Gay and her religion that she still wants to be a part of when she sat in her confessional and said she loved everything that Mormons didn't, Black men, homosexuals, and liquor, but you call Mary's church a cult. Praise Lisa Barlow, who proudly touts being a 2.0 Mormon, but you demonized Mary. So I'm so glad that you said that. As far as in Potomac last season, I felt for Wendy. I was like, oh, because once the audience gets a hold of this. So yeah, I appreciate y'all so much. I want to keep going. That's why, okay. So please, I feel like I feel like when you say let everybody know where they can find you, it's almost like people know who y'all are. But let me just go along with the, please let everyone know where they can find you. I will have the Lady Taylor go first.
You can find me across social media at Taylor Crumpton. My website is taylorcrumpton.com. Also, special call out, if you have ever worked in reality TV, unscripted TV, please send me an email at taylor@taylorcrumpton.com. I'm doing interviews for my books. We can do an interview on the record, off the record, but I would love to hear from you.
Oh, this is going to be so good. I can't wait. If you need quotes from any Black reality TV coverage outlets, just call me, Taylor.
Be in there, baby. You know you'll be in there.
I love it. And you can find me across socials, Carlos J. Harris on Twitter, Carlos J. Harris, and Blue Sky, Carlos J. Harris. So I'm around talking housewives, talking, Black queer web series, and just pop culture. So find me out there and talk to me. Be nice. Don't, be smart because I don't, like that.
And so when y'all hear me say Carlos, this is the Carlos I'm talking about, not Carlos King. This is the Carlos. Do y'all have any upcoming? I know, Taylor, you're writing your book. Do y'all have any other upcoming projects or any things that you want people to be on the lookout for?
Well, I fly to well, not New York, but I fly back home next week, and then I'm going to New York in 2 weeks to write another story for Swerve Magazine around ballroom. So it'll be a nice, fun I haven't been to a major ball in a few years, since 2018. So I'm looking forward to it. It's the Alpha Omega Ball. So if you're in New York City the weekend of February 22nd, come out, enjoy, voguing, runway, sell a bit of face, all the glamorous, fun, talented Black and brown queer people. So come out.
Okay. And you have the face to serve. I'll tell Carlos he could be on the shows, not just writing shows,
Needs to be on talent. As for
Yes.
myself, I am a columnist at Time, have a monthly column that comes out around race and music and pop culture and politics, all the fun things. I should have an essay coming out when this episode airs around Kendrick in the Super Bowl, which I'm really excited. And yeah, anytime, once a month, if you're like, what's going on in pop culture and you want a Black, Southern, queer, femme perspective, you know where to find me.
Yes, y'all, please show my guests some love. I have to say, I really enjoyed y'all. There's just something about connecting with, you walk into a room, everybody don't look like you, and then you connect with the one that do look like you. We make that eye contact, and that's what this feels like, almost like family reunion. So I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all, please make sure y'all go and support these two beautiful people. We love y'all. Like Carlos said, talk to us nice. We'll have the conversation, but talk to us nice. Love y'all. Thank you so much. And we will talk to y'all later. See y'all.